Hello, welcome to Live at Kigali 2022. I am Bhakti Sharma from India, and here I introduce you to Mr. Frederick Mugisha. He's from the SDG Integration Advisor, UNDP Regional Service Center. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
I hope you're doing good.
Yes, I'm doing terrific.
Wow. So, we are live over here at Kigali, and let me tell you, this is about the great connection that India and Africa, they share together. And today we will talk on the local self-governance and what can be done for the communities, for the local people, for the marginalized section, and how about the emancipation of the women and empowerment of the women at the greater level. I hope we should kick and start, yeah?
Yes, that's good.
Okay. So, I heard that you have been like 10 years of great service in Africa. I just wanted to know that how can we strengthen local governance solutions in emerging economies like Africa and some parts of Asia, and how can we enhance citizen participation, especially the women?
So, a couple of things. One is that I think the first thing is for people to change the paradigm, to begin to think that they are part and parcel of the development process, and that it is not only their responsibility to be supported, but to also be able to know that they have a stake in the development process. And that cuts across whether they are youth, whether they are women, whether they are men. The second is that they probably need to take a much larger stake in the development planning process. The development planning process is central for any development taking place. And for most of Africa, in fact, you can't spend outside the development plan in terms of public resources. So if we can get people more involved in the development planning process, then it will help a great deal.
Wow, that's great. That's great. Let me tell you, in India, we have a democratic system, okay? And I always believe that the democracy for developing economies can only be successful when we have a participatory system. Like when I talk of emancipation of women, let me tell you, in India, we have 50% reservation of seats for women at the local self-governance. And then they are the main stakeholders when it comes to the grassroots level of democracy. That also intends that women not only focus on the infrastructure, they are more they are more sensitive, they're more emotional. That leads them to also think on the health, that leads them to think on the education, that leads them to think on the maternal and infant mortality rates. So, these are the things that, in our country, we focus on these things more prominently. And yes, there's a thing called the cluster of villages is called a panchayat. So we do have, panchayat, yeah.
Okay.
So we do have the gram sabhas, and then we have the aam sabhas happening where people sit in groups and they discuss that what could be done for the betterment of the people of the village, for the betterment of the marginalized section, for the betterment of the tribes in the country.
So this is at the village level. Is
Yes.
it also up to the state?
Yes. We also have 33% of reservation at the district level. Okay, so that for the women. So that also somehow enhances them to actually bring up the leadership qualities of the women.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I think in this part of the world, there are many countries where it is 30% of the seats are reserved for women from the grassroots, like you're saying, from the village. But there is also some countries who have kind of done some kind of affirmative action in terms of education. For example, in Uganda, for the girls going to university, they have 1.5 points in addition.
Great.
So I'm not sure how it is in that part of in India.
No, in India also, we have free education for all. And then many states in our country, if the girls are like, if they're really good in education, so they are being provided scholarship and support from the government of the particular states and that of the center as well. So basically, I can say that this is more or less like a bottom-up approach. It's like federal in nature. So are the same things in Africa as well?
The 1.5 points is not across the continent. There are also countries that have free education, including secondary education, and so that helps a great deal. But then, in addition, of course, we have the affirmative action of 1.5.
Yeah, that's a great thing. Okay, I also wanted to know, like, so in order to decentralize the governance and empower local communities, the marginalized people, what are the challenges that you've faced? Like this 10 years of great experience and going to the different parts of the Africa and staying with all the people, the locals, and how does it like, how does it look like?
Maybe let me put it like it is a glass half full. So there is a great enthusiasm that people are responsible for their own development. But there are still, it takes a while, there are still those people who are kind of stuck in the past. And it's not as widespread, but there are still communities that where families think that it is not the right thing, for example, to educate a girl. It's we are getting over that, but it takes a while. I think the greatest shift that can happen is that if people, a critical mass of people, actually realize that they are responsible, they have a role, much as they have rights, they also have obligations. And to take those obligations seriously, it would really provide a great chance in terms of, for example, local governance. But also, whereas most of the countries now decentralization is the pathway, the devolution is not the same across the continent. Some have devolved quite significantly, and they have given the responsibility for development to the local authorities. But others are still centralized. And even when they said there's decentralization, there's still significant central power. So if you want, it's kind of a continuum, whereas we would like to move closer to complete devolution, it's quite a bit of a journey.
So you mean to say that we are still in a transition phase in Africa?
I would say yes.
Yes. So are people actually wanting to be, getting the powers in their hand? What does the local community they think of it?
So there are those communities that realize and are kind of empowered in the sense that they know that the responsibility for the development is theirs. And so they look out for the rest to support that process. But of course, there are also some who still think that it is the responsibility of the government to provide, which is right.
Yes.
But there is also the obligation on their part.
Yeah.
And the two have to balance.
Yeah.
If it is only tilted to one direction, it becomes a problem.
And are women wanting to, take up the leadership roles in Africa?
Yes, and they are actually taking up leadership roles. you can see across the continent many cabinets now. More women are getting into that, even parliaments. I think it does not spread down across the board.
Okay.
And I think that's where the journey still needs to happen. That they need to take and seize the opportunity.
Yeah, because in India, when I was closely working at the grassroots level, being a Sarpanch, I felt that we really need to empower women, to encourage them to have more women in such leadership roles. And I also believe that it's when at the local governance, when I talk of the decentralization of governance, implementation of the policies from the center to the state and then at the local level, it is more or less not, that's a big hurdle actually. Because there are states and then there are panchayats and villages and blocks which are doing pretty well. But yes, on the contrary, we have blocks and districts and states which are not even able to implement such policies at the grassroots, which becomes a hurdle for the local people who are staying over there. So this is what something I have seen in a diverse country like India. Share with me one incident which you felt people should know about, something which got you into the soul thing.
I think it is an incident that happened way back, probably 2 years ago.
Okay.
It was in Ghana, and one of the things that really touched me the most was that the local authorities, the districts, they thought that they should take responsibility for their own development. And while they got support from the central government, they also began to organize themselves to make sure that even within the financing framework, they should be able to bring not just the funds that are coming from the NGOs or from the central government or from the taxes, but also from the churches. And so they looked more as resource mobilization, financing rather than funding. And so that was quite something that was fascinating. And it is something that maybe local authorities could pick up as well.
Wow, I believe that the community participation that leads to a whole level of different development when people all together they come up and they think that yes, this is the time that we need to shift ourselves. Wow, this is like a very good thing that you shared this incident with us. And tell me something. What could be the lessons that India can learn from Africa? In terms of like sharing solutions for the problems we have, because you see that India and Africa together, we are an emerging economy. You are in a transition phase where you really want to work for the development. So, what solutions do you think? Because we at the local level, we work on participatory budget, we work on budget monitoring, we work on accountability, we work on right to information. So just a quick brief.
I think quickly, it should be the idea that we use the information that we collect at the local level to form local solutions.
Okay.
I think that would be very helpful.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you so much, Frederick, for for joining us over here, and thank you everybody for joining us at Kigali Live Dialogue 2022. Thank you.